Hey guys, Paul here, welcome to RETV. Thank you very much for tuning in for what is an incredibly exciting show today. We're driving, ta-da, the GT4 pack DLC for Assetto Corsa Competizione. 11 incredible cars that I can't wait to take out on track and share with you our thoughts and opinions from this exceptional DLC pack. Okay. Now for the fun bit, let's go racing! So get that engine turned on. We've gone for Suzuka because Suzuka is beautiful, everybody loves Suzuka. And we've gone for the Maserati MC GT4 because, why? It sounds out of this world. This is such an incredible car, such an absolutely, yeah. It drives beautifully, the audio, when we get going and we're not warming our tyres and brakes up, so all you can hear is squealing as I get those pads up to temperature. I'll shut up for a bit and you can have a listen at it as we clamber over the curb into the chicane. Make sure we don't run a bit wide because our tyres are ice cold. Cars, by the way, these are GT3, have a lot of downforce. The GT4 that we're driving now have considerably less. So because of that, the cars are a lot more alive and a lot more understeery and a lot more dangerous on the opening laps. We get a good start, bit of field bunching ahead of us into T1. Beautiful, beautiful sections of corners of Suzuka. Get a little bit of contact from the Ginetta as well there, so 3 wide into the second part. Give the Merc some space on the outside. I'll be quiet for a second, have a listen. How good's that? Now, I'm going to say something about this. I say it throughout the course of this video. I am a fully signed up fanboy of this content. Oh, absolutely love these cars. They bring a new element to ACC. ACC is fabulous, by the way, regardless of this DLC pack. But these bring just an entirely new element. The driving experience is wildly different. You can monster the curves. You've got to be very delicate with the braking zones. The braking zones are a lot larger than GT3 cars. So you've got to brake a lot earlier. You can't afford to miss your braking spot. In a GT3, for example, I can run a little bit late into the corner, use the powerful brakes, use the downforce to get me round, and it'll compromise my corner, of course it will, but it won't put me off track more often than not unless you really totally and utterly miss your braking point. But with these, you make a slight mistake, you're off the track because there's no comfort zone in them. They're so on the limit, they're a momentum car. You've got to keep pushing the car to its absolute limit to get the speed out of it, and that is a tremendous driving experience. Into 13OR, a little bit wide, under pressure from the Aston behind now, but listen to that. Damn! That's a beautiful sound, completely missed the curve. Talking and driving's a lot harder than it used to be. Been a while since I've done it. But also, because I've not got much downforce, you can see how much I'm correcting the car on corner exit. It's very flighty on the rear end, which is something else I enjoy a great deal. I absolutely love these, honestly. It's been a long time since I've played a game or some content that's got me thinking about it when I'm away from the rig. It's got me excited about getting back on. There's been a couple of times during the period where I've had this content where I've just literally got up at 2 o'clock in the morning because I can't sleep and I'm that excited about it, and I've gone on the rig. I just turned some laps because I know I'm going to be criticised for being a bit fanboyish, and I very much try and stay impartial. Of course I do, and I am impartial. There's no vested interest in me saying this is good if in reality I don't think it is, but it really is that good. It's just mind-blowingly good. It's just Honestly folks, if you're watching this and you're on the fence about whether you want this DLC, I cannot advise you strongly enough, buy it. It's way different than the GT4, GT3 cars, to the point actually where I'm kind of confused why it's a support series for GT3. So in real life, you're not going to learn a great deal about driving a GT3 car in one of these. It's so wildly different. But I love it, it's keeping me awake at night, I'm that excited about it. It's just fantastic content, and I've come across absolutely nothing I don't like about it. All the cars, in their own unique way, feel beautiful to drive. All feel as you would expect, because they are different cars at the end of the day. All feel very different. Of course, they all sound very different, and they're all wildly different from their counterparts in the GT3 world. So you've got 11 cars in this pack. 11 cars. It's the GT4 European season from 2019. So it's all the proper teams, drivers, liveries, all the proper tracks, which are already in the game, of course, in their own championship. The 1 hour driver swap sprint format is included. And as a double bonus, as I've already mentioned, I think, or I will mention later on at least, we've got multi-class online play. So not in the offline, unfortunately, it's still just the GT4s or just the GT3s. I say just, that's a really disrespectful thing to say because they're mammoth in size and quality in their own right. But when you go into an online environment, you can drive GT4 and GT3 against each other, which is something I am properly excited about. A big grid race, multi-class. Oh man, that's going to be amazeballs. So I can't wait to get logged on to one of the RaceDepartment servers and enjoy an event set up like that. I implore you to come with us as well, because that will be spectacular. So all the broadcast overlay and the heads-up display and everything have been updated accordingly, so it will represent the different classes when racing against each other, which is really good. Obviously, only a few of us have got access to the content at this point, so I've not had an opportunity yet to try it online, either as a just GT4 car or a GT4, GT3 mixed field, so I don't know exactly what it's going to look like in reality, but I can't wait, just cannot wait to give that a try. I love these folks, I really do. This is basically a love letter, this video, that's all it is. I'll try and be informative, but it's just going to be a lot of me going, I really like these cars, because, well, yeah, I really like these cars. It's a new standard for me. This is what sim racing should be, as the Aston gets a way better run from me. Who's going to be the bravest on the 130R? Him, because he's ahead of me, but he's on the inside, so do I brave it out? No I don't, because I am not a fool. Just back off a little bit so if I can get him into the chicane. Try not to do a Prost and Senna. Look at the long braking distances compared to what you're used to in GT3. Look how much I can monster the curb. These cars, because of the way the regulation is designed and the balance of performance, compared to their GT3 big brothers, they sit very high off the floor, so you can monster curbs with them like nobody's business, which is really good for somewhere like Zolder, for example. No longer do you have to go flying into the chicane if you get too much curb. It will eat it up like a warm knife through butter, which is really nice, and that again brings you a very different driving style, because the cars are different anyway, obviously. The cars are a very different driving experience, you have to handle them in a different way to the GT3s, but you can also use those curbs yourself, which brings yet another change in the way you engage with the simulation, which is really cool. So that's something that'll take a while to get used to. The cold tyres and cold brakes, there's no tyre warmers in the European GT4 Championship, which has been replicated, of course, in this DLC pack. So the car is a lot more dangerous to drive, shall we say, in the opening laps. You need to filter that into your consideration as well, which takes a little getting used to. And I think for those drivers that have got more confidence, shall we say, or are more capable of driving a suboptimal car, the opening laps in online competition will offer a real big advantage opportunity for those drivers who can push sooner and earlier. Not like wet weather driving, I suppose, it's just finding where that reduced level of grip is as I run a little bit wide. You see, look at that, I've got no downforce, or not much downforce, to bring me back online again. So once I'm wide, I'm staying wide, and it's going to take a lot to jockey the car back onto the ideal line, and that's opened the door to this Aston once again. But he's not got as much of a run as he had last time. We'll drop it down a gear turn and hope for the best. We're a little bit wide, 130R, but we're okay. Listen, I don't know if anybody thinks that car audio can be something you can fall in love with, but if it is, ladies and gents, this is what you fall in love with. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, this is the Maserati MC GT4, which forms part of the European GT4 series in 2019, and obviously, of course, is the DLC pack as well. There's just a singular livery, so just a singular car raced in this championship last year and is represented in Sim. It's a crying shame. Can you imagine a field full of these is just absolutely unreal to hear that. The ear bleeding. This is electric racing, this is not. Absolutely love it, guys and girls. Absolutely love it. And the force feedback, as you can expect, it's Kunos, it's ACC, it's going to be top quality, and it really, really is. I don't mind admitting it, a little bit sad, but I don't mind admitting it. When I did the gameplay video that you'll see on our YouTube channel in the Porsche 718 Cayman at night time around Bathurst, I don't mind admitting I had a little tear in my eye when I got off that, because it was just absolutely otherworldly. I recorded it stupid o'clock in the morning. Unfortunately, life commitments get in the way, etc, etc, so rarely can I get up on the rig until an unreasonable time, and I'm just sat there at like 2 in the morning with a tear running down my cheek going, that is possibly one of the most enjoyable things I've ever done. And I hope those of you that are into this sort of thing and that enjoy the idea of a GT4 DLC, I hope you guys get a similar sort of satisfaction out of the game as I have, because if you have, then good times roll on for you. This is just poetry in motion. Absolute beautiful, beautiful content on what's turning out to be a really quite spectacular sim, and I cannot praise this enough. It adds, ACC fans or sim racing fans maybe have had a little bit of criticism for ACC that it's a single championship game, which is rightful, which is correct. It is a single championship game, and they maybe get a little bored of the content. Well, this should allay all those fears to one side, because the cars are wildly different than the GT3s that you get. And there we go, that is Suzuka in the Maserati. I think we've still got some stuff to talk about, and I'm enjoying the opportunity to drive, so let's get round to the pits and go fire up another car and another track. And this time we've picked the beast that is the Chevrolet Camaro V8 power. Wonderful. And this is why, this is exactly why I love the GT4 classification. The car variety is unbelievable. We've gone from the Italian style and passion of the Maserati MC GT4 last time out, and now we've got big American muscle, massive car that you would think would be absolutely ridiculous as a GT4 race car, but actually it's surprisingly good. It's not the massive floaty boat that you would expect it to be, much like, I suppose, the Bentley Continental GT3. It's just not a car of this kind of motor racing anyway, but it works really well. And funnily enough, actually, as I'm just inside the top 20, behind another one of my sister cars, I've got an Alpine throwing itself up the inside, which I shall let him go because my tyres are not conditioned. I'm still in that dangerous phase that we spoke about in the last race, where the tyres are freezing cold, the brakes are freezing cold, the grip's at its minimal level, so you've got to be a little bit careful with the car. But just listen to the engine note. I'm going to be quiet when we come into this chicane. Listen to this, beautiful. Awesome. See what I mean about the variety? GT4 is one of those categories where it just feels like normality's not quite touched it yet, and the rules are as such that it's open to so many different various design ethos, design setups in the cars. They're all rear wheel drive obviously, so there's that much. The drivetrain remains as is, but the different kind of cars that go in this. I mean, you look at the KTM Expo, like a proper little prototype projectile, and you look at this Camaro, big, tall, stocky American muscle, and the Alpine in front of us, like a hybrid of the two. The Aston Martin, just like its road-going counterpart. Fabulous. A great idea by Kunos to bring these GT4 cars into the simulation and spice up the variety and choice that the end users have got. I was recording the replay after we finished doing the last race at Suzuka. I'm just watching it thinking, this is one damn pretty simulation, and the way the car's behaving on track just looks absolutely brilliant. I love it, man. Absolutely love it. So let's talk about the Camaro GT4, the Chevrolet Camaro GT4. The force feedback is fabulous in these GT4 DLC packs. Anybody who knows Assetto Corsa Competizione will be, of course, familiar with the feelings behind the wheel. It's the same game at the end of the day. There's been no substantial changes to the way FFB is replicated in Sim for this version 1.5 update that coincides with the GT4 pack. But the car is a new tyre model, so new tyres from Pirelli have been simulated for this pack, because obviously the GT4s don't run on the same rubber as the GT3s. But whether it's placebo, whether it's just because I'm a bit cock-a-hoop about all things GT4 at this moment in time, but it feels like I've got even more feel for the rubber than I had in the GT3 cars. They feel really like I can feel the rubber flexing even further underneath my wheel, helped by, no doubt, a slightly softer sprung car than its GT3 counterparts, less reliant on aerodynamic downforce as well, of course, in these, so it's a lot more of the mechanical and the tyre grip at play in a GT4 car, which opens up a new set of sensations that I just didn't have to this level in the GT3s. Clarification moment for you though, I love the GT3s, so this is by no means a complaint of saying this force feedback is better than that force feedback. Not by any stretch, it's different is the point I'm trying to get across. Driving these cars is not just GT3 but slower. It's not just copy and paste the experience, but at a slightly different pace with longer braking distances. Far, far from it. These cars are good enough, they are substantial in number enough, and they are different enough to, perfectly honest, justify an entirely new game. That's how, oops, there we go, hold on Pete Tong. That's how much variety this brings in for you. I would pay $40 for a GT4 standalone game based on the ACC engine, for sure. I don't know at the time of recording this, I don't know what price the DLC is expected to land at, but unless it's something absolutely ridiculous, I can pretty much guarantee that's money well spent for the discerning sim racer. Because wow, yeah, it's been worth the cost of entry alone just for the short time that I've had this content to put these videos together and get ready for the live stream event, which you've probably seen already by now because this video comes out on the 14th of July, and the live stream event, which I have not practiced for at this point in time, will have took place on the 13th, where a bunch of Kunos developers, some Kunos beta testers and YouTubers, the like of Mr. Chris Hay, my friend Mr. Chris Hay, Jimmy Broadbent at Trollvision, Mr. Git, and a few others are all joining us for some racing. Jardier is going to be there as well, and a few others. Dougie is going to be there. So I'm going to get whooped, quite honestly. I'm going to get tanked It's at Brands Hatch, which is a track I really don't like in sim. I've never been able to get my head around Brands Hatch and still can't. And I've spending too much time crying at my screen saying I love this and to actually practice. But if you watched it live, good on you, well done. If you didn't, check out the Race Department YouTube channel to bask in the glory of my incompetence, no doubt. But anyway, I digress, my good people, onto things that are in the future for me today, but in the past for you watching this video, which is confusing. But we'll leave that one for now because it's giving me the headache trying to work out exactly what the crack is with that one. So, talk about GT4 some more, shall we? It's a good idea, Paul. As I said in the last race, these will be open to multi-class racing once the DLC is out in the public domain, and I foresee that being incredible. There are no new tracks, just to clarify this in case anybody's confused, I've gone completely wrong there. There are no new tracks as part of this DLC package, so the GT4 Championship track roster is covered in its entirety with existing tracks within ACC. All the circuits are in there. They're all separated up, so when you select the car and track combination for quick race or whatever it might be, they're all lined up nice and neatly under the GT4 heading. And they've done actually a really good job now. They've got the Intercontinental GT Challenge, the 2018 and 2019 GT World Championship, World Challenge, sorry, and now the GT4 European Season 2019. They've done a really good job with the UI. I know it sounds like a minor thing, but actually it's quite complex to neatly and sensibly put all those together. So credit to Kunos where credit's due. They've done a really good job of keeping it sensible. Yeah, so I missed a braking point, we just about got away by using some engine braking, but that's put us vulnerable and yeah, we're getting past. Although we've got the inside for this one, so careful. Oh god, very good, well done. Late braking around the outside, I'm most impressed by that one. This is the AI I'm racing against, and I've read some things about people having varied experiences with the AI in ACC. Well, I'm running 100% with 90% aggression, and I think the AI is fantastic, to be quite honest. I've really been impressed with the offline aspect of this sim. I sadly don't have as much time as I would like to race online because, let's be honest, online's where it's at. So most of my running in ACC has been offline, and I've always found it very, very, very good indeed. So I'm not quite sure if that's a setting thing or people's driving styles. I don't quite know where those comments are coming from, but it doesn't tally with my own personal experience. I think the AI, or certainly in the build that I'm using, which bear in mind is early, so it may be changed for the public release, I think the AI is a little bit easier in these GT4 cars than it is in the GT3s. So a couple of races that I've done where I've not been slavering to camera, I've found myself being a bit more competitive than I would have expected, shall we say, if I compare it to like-for-like settings on the GT3 content. So that might be tweaked, it might just be me, I'm not quite sure. You'll find out for yourself when you come to drive them. As the leaders on the final lap, so I best hurry up and wrap up before we go to our post-show summary. In a nutshell, boys and girls, I love this. If you wished I was quiet during this video so you could listen to the car, fear not, I have a lot to say, so being quiet goes against my very nature. But I've put a gameplay video for every car in the pack up on the Race Department YouTube channel, so pick one of your 11 cars that you fancy and watch a nice mix of onboard and off-board cameras with no chitter-chatter. Just to soak up these glorious engines. Get your volume turned up to 11, people, because trust me, it's worth it. And there we go, that's the perfect example of what I was saying about you're just a little bit inaccurate with the cars, and you're going to find yourself completely sailing miles away from where you need to be, either on corner entry or corner exit. But look how come monster curbs. Curbs are no problemo in these cars. But there's a little bit of inherent understeer because you've not got the front end grip. So you've got to be That's a terrible time to be saying this when the examples I've just given from my driving don't relate to it. But you've got to get the weight transfer right. You've got to get the car set up earlier than you would do in a GT3 car. You've got to keep the balance as much as possible, and that's a really exciting driving experience, but hard as sin talking and driving at the same time, because there's a lot more to think about, in my opinion, than in a GT3 car. You get a little bit of oversteer there, but I could feel it in the force feedback of the tyres before I could see it on the screen. So I reckon, ladies and gents, this is going to wrap up my driving portion of this video, so I'm going to throw back to myself. Weird. We'll give our summary of our thoughts, show a little bit more gameplay in a different setting, and I'll tell you the last bits you need to know about ACC version 1.5 and also the GT4 European Series DLC, which, in case you've missed it, is something that I think is possibly the best thing that's ever happened to sim racing. It's amazing. Okay, so over to me. La la. So there we have it. That is the GT4 DLC pack for Assetto Corsa Competizione. We've driven the cars, we've shared with you our experiences and our feeling behind the wheel, and in case you've not got the message yet, and for fear of being accused of being a bit of a fanboy, I am absolutely in love with these motors. It is a brilliant DLC, and for me, as I said earlier, it is a new standard in sim racing, in my humble opinion. Kunos nailed it. There's the 11 cars that we've got behind us. BMW, Audi, Aston Martin, Mercedes, Alpina, Chevrolet, and the great big Camaro. What an unbelievable car that is. BMW, we've got Porsche, we've already said Mercedes, we've got McLaren, KTM, Ginetta, all of them unique, all of them incredible. The audio you've heard for yourself. Look at the cockpit detailing we've got behind us now. For VR users, this is Mecca from heaven. Absolutely beautiful detail inside and out. The physics, the driving, the force feedback, the audio, the racing, because GT4 is a slower category, the cars are nose to tail. It's incredible, and it's going to be mind-blowing when we take these cars online against each other. And of course, multi-class racing, so GT3, GT4 mix it up, and in the fall of this year we're hopefully getting the British pack, track pack as well. But talking content wise, you've obviously got the car, but version 1.5 also adds the different characteristics of the GT4 European Series. So we spoke about it already, but you've got the 60-minute sprint race format that comes with the championship. The tracks are bundled together nicely. It's a proper GT4 European Series pack, not just the cars. So the tracks from the championship are already in game and linked together, as you can see on the screen behind us. So everything's there for an absolutely fabulous off and on line racing experience. I've been massively impressed with these cars. I've been massively impressed with the pack, and I hope you enjoy them just as much as I have, because if you have, you'll have had the time of your life. Thank you for tuning in. This has been RDTV on YouTube. Would love and appreciate a like and a subscribe, and follow us, Race Department, at Race Department on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course RaceDepartment.com. I've been Paul Jeffrey. This has been RDTV, and these have been the GT4 DLC for Assetto Corsa Competizione. Until next time, ta-da.